So, it is Ludum Dare 42 in about 2.5 hours at the time of recording, and I decided that I would do a little video about why I think that Godot is perfectly designed for game jams like the Ludum Dare. So one of the biggest reasons for this is because Godot is just perfect for very small iteration cycles. If you have a solid idea in mind, you can spend probably like a few hours, not much more than that, to get, well, a very basic product up and running perfectly. And that means if you really wanted to, you could run through several ideas over the course of a day to determine which of them you like the most. Not that I would ever recommend doing this because, time constraints are time constraints, but in case your first idea doesn't pan out so well, it's pretty trivial to try out another one. Also, the engine is super light, which means that the average game made in Godot will only use about 20 to 30 megabytes. That makes it much easier and convenient for people to actually play your game, since, the Unreal Engine, quite frequently I see uploads which are like 700 megabytes, which I just cancel because I don't want to have a 700 megabyte file on my hard disk. I will admit that the web export system is a bit hit or miss. Usually it'll work great, but sometimes you can run into problems that might warrant encouraging the user just to run the downloadable version instead. Namely, sometimes there are some audio glitches, but honestly, it works pretty well, all things considered. And here's a personal favourite of mine, which is particle effects, and this is... You might be a bit confused as to why I'm listing this here, but basically it's really easy to make something look a certain base level of good if you just overload it with crazy particle effects. It's similar to like reverb in songs or sound effects. You might not get very far if you don't know what you're doing, but if you're really clueless or if you're in a hurry like you are in Ludum Dare, then it would work out great for you. You can very easily attain a pretty, reasonable standard of quality. And Godot is great for particle effects. They run super nicely, even if you're trying to render about 10 times as many than you should, and the actual particles editor is honestly amazing. If you need proof of this, then you should know that in the game Warp Tech, which is currently being shown on the screen, pretty much all the graphics are based in Godot particle effects in some way or another. So all the bullets are, all the explosions, most things are somewhat related to particles. In combination with that, also light effects. Creating and adding lights are very trivial, and again, they look awesome even if you don't really know what you're doing. Now, there is one caveat, and that is that they can get a little expensive if you have too many, so just be careful of that. But as long as you're not creating like 25 of them in the exact same location, you should be good to go. Also, Godot is excellent for keeping things organized, especially with small projects, and in a game jam situation, you're probably not going to want to have to spend a lot of time trying to work out what this weird variable does or where you called this function from. With a combination of signals, multiple distributed script files, and the occasional recursive egrep, it's pretty hard to go wrong and pretty difficult to get super confused. And now this last point really isn't the same category as the others, since I would say that it's more like why Ludum Dare is perfect for Godot, rather than the other way around. So Godot is a fairly small engine in terms of community and publicity. Unreal and Unity are both backed by, astronomical marketing budgets, whereas Godot pretty much only has word of mouth and a reasonably sized Patreon page. If you really like the Godot engine, you want to see it afforded some extra consideration from other developers, then I definitely recommend using it for this upcoming Ludum Dare, or whatever other game jam you like, maybe Ludum Dare 43, or anything really. Even if you've never used it before, a game jam is a perfect time to try out a new engine in a very low stakes environment. It's great for your skill set, and it's really good for the engine if more people use it. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, best of luck in Ludum Dare 42, honestly, and stay tuned for more videos about some things which video games are sometimes a part of. Goodbye.